he really is that good, that gifted, and that talented, and we have a new light heavyweight champion.
There has never been a figure in the world of mixed martial arts more controversial, more unorthodox, and more legendary than Jon Jones. Bones beat the best guys from 3 different eras, dominated in 2 weight classes, and destroyed anyone who stood in his way.
There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know. You will lose this fight, Daniel Cormier. I want you to believe it. Every ounce of training you put in leading up to this fight will be a waste of your life.
The era of his rule was branded Prime Bones time, and fans were simply obsessed with his ruthless, unstoppable momentum. He battered the best of the best, even without going through a full training camp.
Is this guy gonna mess this up again by doing steroids or snorting cocaine or sandblasting prostitutes? What's this guy gonna do? What's this guy gonna do to mess this up this time?
Prostitutes? I beat you after a weekend of cocaine.
And prostitutes.
It's all over! It is all over! Wow. Jon Jones has defended his...
Again, he hurt him. And he knocked him with that knee by Jon Jones. To the right arm. Now he's going for a Kimura.
It is all over! Jon Jones remains the UFC light heavyweight champion!
But his story is anything but a Hollywood script. The epical, legendary career is overshadowed by a dark past that Jon prefers to keep in the shadows.
So I do have to place you under arrest for DWI, okay?
Yes, sir.
You'll get a chance to write a breast sample and all that stuff we get down to the Prison Transfer Center.
A man who combines the greatness of a legendary fighter with the personality of an uncontrollable psychopath, possessed by a maniacal thirst for violence. What is it like to live with the thought that you are the most powerful being on this planet?
What did I do? You fucking... I hate you!
Today, I want to tell you the magnificent story of the greatest mixed martial artist. Who is he really? A legendary fighter or a merciless psychopath? Get comfortable and enjoy the show.
Deep inside yourself, are you a good guy trying to be bad, or are you a bad guy trying to be good?
That's a good question. I think I am a bad guy that's trying to be good.
The first fateful event in 12-year-old Jon's life was the death of his sister from brain cancer. The boy suffered from childhood depression and endured the loss of a loved one painfully. In memory of his sister, he got a tattoo referring to a Bible verse, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Jon's father was a pastor, and in the Jones family, religious commandments and traditions were held sacred. God did not abandon Bones and blessed him with a truly divine gift.
My motivation is to become the best man that I can be a reflection of God's love and his forgiveness.
God granted Jones the abilities to be the best at his craft and to become not just a fighter, but the embodiment of greatness. Fighters like Jones are born once a century. However, that divine gift might have gone unrealized if the American hadn't spent thousands of hours in the gym from a young age. All 3 Jones brothers began their path with American football. Even then, Jon experienced his first difficulties with teamwork. He preferred to rely on himself and his own strength and could not allow himself to depend on the team. But football is not a one-man sport, and Jones found an outlet in Greco-Roman wrestling. Despite having no experience at all, Bones picked everything up on the fly and stood out from the rest with his remarkable talent. He had barely debuted in the sport, but after a couple of practices, he could compete on equal footing with the best wrestlers at school. First, he won the state championship, and then he rolled through the competition and rose to the title of national champion. Jon skillfully combined sport with studies. By a random coincidence, he studied criminal justice in college and shared a dorm room with future UFC fighter Colby Covington.
So you were roommates with Jon Jones?
Unfortunately, yes.
What happened with that? If you don't want to talk about it,
no, it's all good. I'll tell you the truth, man. He started doing some testosterone, and his emotions, just got out of whack, and he started getting angry at everybody.
Colby Covington is not the most honest person, and clearly not someone whose words should be trusted. However, judging by statements from Jones's classmates, even in his student years, Bones already felt like a dominant alpha in society. someone you couldn't push around, control, or laugh at. That personality type is very popular with girls, and especially sought after during student years. Soon, the second fateful event in Jones's life occurred. 2 classmates became pregnant, yet the young man, who had nothing behind him except the status of a student, had nothing to offer the pregnant girls. To at least somehow provide for the expectant mothers, he dropped out of school and got a job as a bouncer at 3 clubs at once. To quickly neutralize unruly patrons, Jones began attending mixed martial arts and grappling classes, where he very quickly became the best guy in the gym. Seeing the giftedness of an unknown fighter, organizers of regional tournaments offered Bones a chance to test himself in professional MMA. Over the next 3 months, Jon beat everyone in the regional cage before moving to the UFC. His record, 6 finishes, that open recommendation as a spectacular finisher, seriously interested the promotion's leadership. Without even realizing it, the American signed a contract, and that was the starting point of a great journey.
Jon Jones is a whole nother. I consider Jon Jones the greatest combat fighter of all time.
The beginning of Jon Jones's reign was marked by an incredibly fast and sharp start. His first and only loss came way back in 2009, when he was essentially just beginning his path in the world's top fighting league and landed illegal elbow strikes that would be legalized 5 years later. After that frustrating setback, Jones took control of the light heavyweight division for a long time, logging 14 title fights. What's especially amazing is that Jones faced the best fighters of 3 generations and managed to beat them all. Jon's path is legendary and unique. He sent veterans into well-deserved retirement, destroyed the fighters of his own generation, and proved to the future that it still had a lot to learn before daring to challenge Bones. I won't retell every fight, but I want to draw your attention to the most important events in Jones's career.
It seems like you like the guy.
You know what, Chael's not too bad. I've gotten to know the guy, and he's not too bad, but that's not going to stop me doing what I got to do to him in April.
In 2013, the world of mixed martial arts began capturing fan attention, and the UFC was in a phase of rapid growth. Jones had cleaned out the division and sent legends into retirement, but ahead of him were the most dangerous opponents of the modern era. One such guy, the embodiment of the American dream, was Chael Sonnen.
Joe, I don't promote fights, I pick fights. I'm better than Jon Jones, I'm better than Sean Combs, I am even better than John Holmes.
Chael was known for his sharp trash talk, which he always backed up in the cage. Sonnen's fights were exciting because of his aggressive style and pressuring manner of fighting, in which Chael was one of the best. But the whole difference lay in the fact that Jones did not strive to be the best in striking, grappling, or on the ground. He planned to be perfect in every aspect.
Man, it's been such a grateful experience, man. Just talking to all the other fighters, getting to know great martial artists, stepping outside of what I'm doing and just really focusing on these other guys. It was one of the most gratifying things I've ever done in MMA.
Jones stopped an almost peak version of Chael, leaving him no chance for a respectable fight. Bones repeated his previous achievements. He outworked the experienced, battle-hardened opponent in every area, making Chael look like a local, inexperienced prospect. While beating Sonnen, Jones caught a groove and didn't even notice that his toe was broken.
After the fight, I looked down and saw blood, and I looked closer at the blood and saw that my toe was pretty much upside down. So, yeah. My adrenaline's still going. I'm so happy and grateful. I don't even feel the pain right now. So maybe it's not that serious of an injury. Who knows?
You can see common signs in every one of the Americans' fights. Jones always dominates. Jones always sees no competition. Jones always wins. But every rule has its exceptions. Every great career has a terrifying night with a nightmare. In Jon's story, that nightmare was a little-known Swede who nearly ended the great champion's winning streak.
I think that fight was awesome. I think this is one of those fights that people would love to see again. And yeah, and it'd be hard for either one of the fighters not to think they both.
To make the level clear, after a dozen collected scalps of former champions and legendary fighters, the American became a kind of deity in the world of mixed martial arts. He was unreachable. He stood at absolute heights and looked down on everyone. New contenders made him laugh. He despised anyone who dared challenge him. Jones seemed omnipotent, capable of winning a fight from any position and in any aspect. But people stop believing in God the moment he bleeds. And if God bleeds, then he is not omnipotent. This metaphor embodied the fighting mentality of Alexander Gustafsson. The momentum swung like a pendulum, and the spectators in the stands watched every movement of the athletes, holding their breath. No one could believe what was happening. The winner became known only at the very end of the fight. Jon's spinning elbow pierced the challenger's head and sent Gustafsson into a standing knockdown. In the 5th round, the bloodthirsty American confidently outstruck the Swede in every aspect, took the victory on all the judges' scorecards, and defended the belt for the 6th time, setting the light heavyweight defense record and proving to everyone that he is the top predator in the division's food chain.
And then the way he dominates all these other fighters, up until you get to Alexander Gustafsson, you could make the argument that he had a similar career. You could make the argument, like if you look at what he did, Jon didn't lose any rounds. Jon was smashing people. You look what he did to Rashad Evans. Look what he did to Rampage Jackson. Look what he did to Lyoto Machida. Look what he did to everybody. Everybody he fought up until the Gustafsson fight. But the Gustafsson fight, then you have to say, well, how much slack do you give him for admittedly not training? Because it was a really close fight. He pulls it out in the championship round, even though he's out of shape, even though you talk to Greg Jackson, he didn't train for that fight. Didn't fucking train, like barely worked out.
There is an opinion that the main problem in the fight with Gustafsson wasn't competition at all. There really were many videos online showing that Jones was slowly declining. He wasn't living a fighter's lifestyle, and training and development were gradually replaced by bars and banned substances. Even at that point in his career, Jon had already done enough to bear the title of one of the greatest athletes of his time, but he wasn't in a hurry to end his career, struggling to balance sport, alcohol, and drugs.
911, operator 3830, where is your emergency?
Yeah, there was a car accident. The guy that's getting out of the SUV, he took off running. He's running over fences.
Jon Jones? Dude, I wonder if this is that fighter's car. Jon Jones?
This was the most serious incident in the athlete's career. Jon Jones became the culprit of a 3-car accident in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He fled the scene without providing help to a pregnant woman who had been injured. Marijuana was later found in his vehicle. Eventually, he turned himself into the police. Initially, he was charged with a felony, leaving the scene of an accident resulting in bodily harm, but the charge was later reduced to reckless driving. As a result, the UFC stripped him of his light heavyweight title and suspended him indefinitely. It seemed like there was no reason left for Jon to ever return to the sport, if not for one big but.
Make Jon Jones quit. Sunday morning, Joe Rogan, you will wake up and you will say, how can you make this look so easy?
Among all the light heavyweight contenders, there was one man whose fighting style and demeanor most closely resembled the champion's, Daniel Cormier. Cormier was tearing through the division and was desperate for a fight with the reigning king. With his skill set and drive to win, Daniel looked like a man on a mission, ready to dismantle the champion piece by piece.
You're the scum of the earth. You are a terrible human being, but you can sure turn it on, huh?
Thank you.
Unlike most of Jon's opponents, Cormier despised him and had no respect for his achievements. There was no fear or hesitation in his eyes. Daniel was determined to punish the champion for every mistake, every word, and every dark deed. After that first competitive fight, the two men were destined to meet again. But this time, everything was different. Jones had reached the absolute height of his career, and his behavior radiated a sense of untouchable impunity. He was fighting in bars, getting into street altercations, and frequently being arrested by police. His probation could have easily turned into a prison sentence, but just in time, he pulled himself together and signed a contract for the rematch.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you never forget the night you stepped in the octagon with me. I'll give up my arm. I'll give up an eye. I'll give up a toe. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do to stop me, Daniel Cormier. There's absolutely nothing you can do. Every ounce of training you put in leading up to this fight will be a waste of your life.
This time, though, the rivalry wasn't about competition. It was about pure hatred. And fans love fights like this because you know these men won't hold back. They'll use every second, every strike, every round to hurt one another.
You never beat me. Billy beats me. That belt over there is a piece of shit. He's a bitch. He's a bitch. He's a bitch ass. That had you crying. Hey. Who was the bitch? Backstage, you're hugging Cain Velasquez, crying on his shoulder. I'm the bitch. You threw a work off. Yeah, you threw a work. Yeah. You know what you are. Are you back, junkie? I'm back. I'm back. This junkie had you crying. You're a knob. Junkie whoops your ass, Daniel Cormier. You keep playing around up here, and you'll see that side in the streets of Dallas, Texas.
Psychological advantage. It's a powerful thing. Jon Jones fought as if he were still the reigning champion, and Cormier, just another contender. Jon cracked him with counters, chopped his legs, mixed in elbows, and looked like his old, dominant self again. In the second round, the story was similar. Jones gave up space and initiative, while Cormier landed a few unexpected shots that he hadn't been able to connect with in their first fight. It almost seemed like, despite his youth, talent, and physical gifts, Jones had grown a bit rusty after so long outside the octagon. But in the third round, everything changed. Jon began to feel the fight in every fiber of his body. He read Cormier's movements completely, tightened up his defense, and started reacting faster than ever before. Cormier never saw it coming. The left high kick from the southpaw stance, whipping straight into his head. That kick ended everything. Cormier's legs gave out, and he fell back toward the fence where Jones swarmed him with a relentless barrage of punches. It was over. It was a historic night, the night that solidified Jon Jones as the greatest fighter of all time.
He shoots guns. Jon Jones is a killer in every way that you can be. When the stuff was going on during COVID and there was riots and people were spray painting, Jon Jones went into town and was taking spray cans out of people's hands and slapping them and saying, "Go home. You're not up my town." And
Jon had reached every possible height. Over the years, he had cleaned out the entire division, securing his status as the greatest light heavyweight champion in UFC history. But his last fights weren't as dominant, and his bout against Dominic Reyes nearly turned into a controversial win.
You know, I'm reading it right now in this training camp leading into beating your ass.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen, Johnny boy. Not gonna happen.
Great response, Dominic.
Many claimed that Bones had passed his prime, and then came the announcement. Jon Jones was moving up to heavyweight.
Have you had a peek at how Jon looks at that weight, at the heavyweight?
No, I haven't seen him. No. Just his face in interviews.
Time passed. Jones stayed away from the cage for almost 3 years, waiting for the perfect financial offer. But discipline still haunted him. After a drunken night in Las Vegas, he got into a brawl, broke up with his fiancée, and frustrated his coaches so badly that he was kicked out of his gym. When he couldn't sink any lower, Jon apologized publicly, found a new team, and soon earned a title shot in the heavyweight division. He was supposed to face Francis Ngannou, but fate had other plans. Ngannou left the UFC, and the next man in line, the #1 ranked Cyril Gane, stepped in. But even after 3 years away, Jon needed just one round to finish a prime Cyril Gane and claim the heavyweight title. Jones became a 2-division UFC champion and etched his name in history as a fighter whose legacy no active MMA athlete could replicate. But then came the question every fan started asking: why do we keep hearing that Jon Jones is running away or afraid to fight Tom Aspinall?
Jon Jones is making headlines recently by saying, maybe he's interested in Stipe, then Alex Pereira. In your mind, is the move still do the Stipe fight, and then if he wants to fight again, it's Tom Aspinall?
Yeah, it's Stipe. I think Jon's just asking, who do you like? What do you think?
Is it true that Bones now only picks the easiest fights, those with minimal risk? The answer is simple.
I mean, there were a couple of interviews leading up to this fight where he was saying, "I'm going to make this look easy." And I thought that was a silly thing to say. The guy is fucking believable, man. He really is.
Throughout his career, Jon never avoided danger. He fought monsters, many of them at their absolute peak, and he always won. He beat everyone in his home division, set records for title defenses, and faced the highest level of opposition possible. Yes, his career has been filled with dark moments, but none of it ever stopped him from winning. Even when compared to the best of the best, Jones remains the overwhelming favorite. Who could possibly beat Bones? Let's look at the most competitive names, and the first, without a doubt, is Tom Aspinall.
Hello, Jon. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight. So I'm coming.
Who would win between Jon and Tom? If you compare their fights against Cyril Gane, without question, Jones. In terms of style, skill, and experience, again, Jones. Another monster who challenged Jon's legacy was Francis Ngannou. But Stipe Miocic already exposed Ngannou's weaknesses years ago, and Jones, in his last fight, bulldozed through the best heavyweight of the 21st century. Let's be honest, Jon Jones's contribution to the sport is beyond measure. Even at an age where most legends fade away, this man kept stepping into the cage and proving to the world that he's still the best. He spent decades inside the octagon and earned the right to choose his fights. From a career standpoint, it makes perfect sense. Who else but Jones can choose his opponents? Not for survival, but for legacy and legacy alone.
And as far as Tom Aspinall or Alex Pereira, it sounds like you just want to sit down with Dana White and Hunter Campbell, and if the money is right, then you're willing to maybe potentially make the fight that either the fans or they want to see.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what it is.
At the end of the day, here's the truth. Before us stands a man driven by violence, unable to fully control his emotions and actions. But this image, this so-called psychopath, will forever go down in sports history as one of the most dominant champions, the best of the best, the greatest of all time. The story of Jon Jones is unique and astonishing. He earned his place under the sun. He earned recognition, respect, and greatness. His refusal to fight Tom Aspinall does not diminish his achievements, nor tarnish his legacy. Jones has beaten enough legends that no one, ever, can call him a coward. That is the image of the greatest fighter in mixed martial arts as I see it. What do you think? Share your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you later.